Patrice likes parties, by the way, because she also threw a party there to celebrate the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And yeah, that's somewhat suspicious. Because what do Democrats have to do with Black Lives Matter? I think I'll just leave that question open-ended.
Rest in peace.
BLM, Black Lives Matter, has been exposed. The greatest lie ever sold. Daily Wire, Candace Owens documentary has done an amazing job showing us another side of the story that we did not see before, at least the media does not speak about. You know, that saying that goes as follow the money. One of the best ways to understand what a company is doing and what they're up to is to follow the trail of money. It will show you what is really happening at the heart of the system. So we are gonna follow the money today. So how about we get to this video, and I'll be sharing short clips of that video. By the way, make sure you go and check out this whole entire video documentary itself with Daily Wire. Get a subscription, it's gonna worth every dime. And also check out my review that I did just a couple days ago on the greatest lie ever sold. Check it out and see what you think about that one. But in this one here, we're gonna see how the finances of Black Lives Matter have been used and abused by the system, and we're gonna get a somewhat of a picture of the level of misuse or misappropriation of fund, or how some of these funds did not go to benefit the Black community, but instead it went to other communities. That left me thinking, is this really about Black people, or is this about trends? Let's take a listen.
About this, I sent an employee all email, and I said, look, I understand there's racial riots across the country, or there's unrest across the country. I hope everybody's safe. Let us know if you need us to support you. That was about it. And I remembered the reaction that I got, that somehow that failed to meet the moment because I didn't recite the same ritual incantation that every other CEO was pledging allegiance to across the country, a corporate statement made by the same PR firm that effectively ended in Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been sort of investigating throughout this documentary, where did the money go that was given to Black Lives Matter? We never even really got a full answer of how much money was given.
I often say that BLM now stands for Buy Lavish Mansions, because that's what the BLM movement does. You actually saw in recent weeks there was a person who was effectively working for BLM that personally purchased a mansion, and she pays $3 million for it. Within days, like I think it's 48 hours later, flips that to the BLM organization, who pays nearly $6 million for that same house, booking a personal profit to the person who actually bought it. So that's a self-dealing transaction that enriches personally somebody who's working for Black Lives Matter. Why is BLM buying big lavish mansions in the first place?
When their donors were understandably outraged by the luxurious purchase, Patrisse Cullors came forth and also admitted that she hired both her mother and her brother to work at the property. What sort of work, you ask? Well, Patrisse Cullors' brother, Paul Cullors, is a graffiti artist by trade. That's what he's done his entire life. He's done graffiti. Patrisse instead hired her brother to do security for her. She paid Paul $840,000.
You gotta be kidding me.
Wow, this has to be one of those most well-paid security guard and a graffiti artist ever. The best. Wow. Maybe I need to get out of the pastoral work or the health industry and get into the graffiti artist and security guard type of firm.
That's almost $1 million in just 1 year to her graffiti artist brother,
$1 million.
His newly established security firm.
That is amazing.
Now, that makes her a great sister, but perhaps she's an even better baby mama, because Patrisse also gave funding from Black Lives Matter to take care of the man who fathered her son. His name is Damon Turner, and he received $970,000 from BLM to his company Trap Heels LLC, which purportedly provided live production and media. So that makes Patrisse a great sister, a wonderful baby mama, and also, by the way, she's a fun mom. Because one of the events that Patrice organized at her BLM mansion was for her young son's birthday party.
Okay.
Nothing says taking on police brutality quite like hosting a birthday party for your young son in a Los Angeles mansion paid for by donors to the cause. Patrice likes parties, by the way, because she also threw a party there to celebrate the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And yeah, that's somewhat suspicious.
Very.
Because what do Democrats have to do with Black Lives Matter? I think I'll just leave that question open-ended.
Tell them the truth.
Also suspicious is the fact that Black Lives Matter designated a whopping $8 million to an out-of-country grant. What? I thought this charity was about addressing police brutality in the United States. Apparently, to do that, you need to send $8 million to Toronto, Canada, to an organization named M4BJ.
Wow.
They purchased a $6.3 million, 10,000 square foot downtown property in Toronto. And I should also mention that M4BJ is run by Patrice's wife, Janaya Khan.
Man, are we following the money here? Are we following the money? We're talking about over $80 million. So we're seeing money being spent very loosely. So yeah, this stuff is disturbing. These are things we didn't know. A lot of us didn't know. I mean, I always had my doubts concerning Black Lives Matter. I did not support. I did not march. I did not raise a voice. I did not tear down any windows. I was more like, I'm gonna be neutral, because all that emotional frenzy stuff that people are reacting to, it's not me. I'll sit back and I'll wait for the facts. Here they are.
Because it is. She is the co-founder, believe it or not. And here's where it gets really interesting.
No way.
Okay, go ahead, Candace.
Janaya Khan is gender non-conforming. These terms can be quite sensitive, so let me just use photos to illustrate my point. Janaya used to look like this, and now she looks like this. But that information would be entirely irrelevant if it wasn't for the way that Patrice Cullors saw it fit to spend the rest of Black Lives Matter's money. Ready for some BLM pride?
No, I'm not.
According to their IRS form, $200,000 went to the Transgender Justice Funding Project. Another $200,000 went to the Transgender United Fund. Another $200,000 went to the Transgendered Law Center. Another $200,000 went to Black Transgendered Media.
Wow.
Another $200,000 went to the Transgendered Variant and Intersex Justice Project.
Wow.
Another $200K went to the Transgendered District. By the way, if you're wondering what that is purportedly going to be the all transgender district, and I guess that's really, really important for Black America advancement in society, I guess, or whatever. Another $200K went to the St. James Infirmary. That organization, by the way, is for, according to their website, it's run by sex workers and is for them. Specifically, escorts, BDSM workers, strippers, peep show workers, phone sex operators, and webcam performers. It was actually the St. James Infirmary that created the Transgendered District. So that's just an organization within another organization, which, by the way, you see a lot of when you go through these documents. So yeah, going to be apparently great big things involving sex workers in the future for Black America. In continuation, the Center for Halstead received $200,000 from Black Lives Matter. They are Chicago's community center dedicated to securing the health and well-being of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, and queer people of Chicago. Similarly, we have the Audre Lorde Project, which received $200,000.
Shocked?
Confused.
So this wasn't about Black people, all right? This wasn't about Black people. We knew that. We knew it. Some of us did. And it's been affirmed now. This was about trans. This was about LGBT plus community. This was about the alphabet community. This was not about Black people. Thank you. The facts are here.
$1,000, and according to their website, they are a lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender non-conforming people of color community organizing center. Another $400,000 went to Transgender Advocates Knowledgeable Empowering, or TAKE, as it's known for short. The founder of that organization is a transgendered individual by the name of Darrenecia Duncan Boyd. Darrenecia is also the executive director of the Transgendered United Fund, which I mentioned earlier, which secured $200,000. So a total $600,000 of BLM money went to a transgendered woman named Darrenecia Boyd, who is operating 2 charities. I found that piece to be very interesting. Here is Darrenecia describing in a 2020 interview how they were able to use that money that was received to the organization to purchase more real estate.
We're opening up a new resource center here, and the resource center is almost 3 times as big as our last space that we was in. So we have lots of space and lots of rooms for our clients to come in and enjoy.
I noticed that real estate seems to be a common theme amongst these transgendered organizations. Remember, there's the first ever transgender district, and there are also a couple of houses that are named on their IRS documents. For example, an additional $200,000 was given to the House of Tulip. According to the website, the House of Tulip provides zero barrier housing to trans and gender non-conforming people. But the one that really stood out as the most nonsensical is the $200,000 that went to the Griffin Gracie Retreat and Educational Center, known as House of Gigi for short. According to that website, they provide services and resources that positively impact the lives, history, and visibility of transgender, gender questioning, and gender non-conforming persons.
Oh, goodness.
They admit that they purchased a property in Little Rock, Arkansas back in 2019, and that property was supposed to serve as an oasis and a retreat for transgendered person, but they admit, also on the website, that they actually never held such a retreat. First, because their founder had a stroke and was recovering, and then it was COVID-19, so they still couldn't host a retreat. And despite having never hosted a retreat at this amazing oasis property that they purchased, in 2021, they announced that they purchased a second property next door to the first one. So, yeah. Now, all of the organizations that I just mentioned, none of them, not one, is up to date on filing a tax return with the IRS, which is required for charities. Because charities, remember, they don't pay taxes. In other words, I'm not able to tell you how any of these transgendered organizations spent the money that BLM poured into their organization.
I'll ignore that.
This makes a lot of sense why this transgender movement has exploded over the years. They are being funded by many organizations such as Black Lives Matter. So you can see why this stuff has exploded on the scene, and so many of our youth are finding themselves part of this transgender movement today. So again, obviously Black Lives Matter was not about Black people. I think Black people were the name given to carry out the dirty deeds, but nevertheless, oh Lord have mercy, it is sad to watch. It is so sad. Somebody has to be held accountable for this. We can't just sit back and say, oh, look what they were doing and that's it. Like, there has to be some lawsuits. But again, what do you expect? You give all this money to an organization that is in its fabric fascist, not capitalistic. This organization who get the sense that I have the right to own it, I deserve it, you know, kind of the poor trampling over the rich attitude. So you have these Marxist ideologies in one organization and you sponsor them. These are women who have not been properly either, the check and balances were not there. So we trusted the Black Lives organization with way too much money, and they've abused their power. That's kind of what happened here. And there was obviously another goal in mind. It was not about Black people, it was about trans. I've said in my video before, we've been deceived. We were lied to. We were. But Some of us were not deceived. Some of us knew, we saw it coming.
During the 2020 and 2021 tax year. If you continue to look through BLM IRS docs, you'll notice that they gave millions of dollars to various Black Lives Matter organizations throughout America, or at least at first glance, it appears that they did. A closer look, you'll see that they actually dispersed that funding to organizations that were in care of Black Lives Matter. This means that actually another organization is accepting the donation on behalf of BLM. So I decided to investigate that further, and I noticed a really bizarre pattern. A lot of those organizations train activists. They train the youth to become activists in their communities. One organization even goes as far as bragging on their website about their history of getting arrested, protesting, and they offer courses on various techniques like bird dogging. That's a technique that's used to confront politicians. I thought to myself, it's interesting because I kept hearing over and over again while filming this documentary that people felt as though the protesters that arrived throughout these cities weren't actually from the cities that they arrived in. They didn't know where they had come from. Buses, there was this idea that buses were showing up filled with protesters.
It does make you wonder, how do people find so much time to go and protest? I mean, don't you have a living to make? Don't you have bills to pay? Don't you have children to care for? Don't you have schools? And no, they were being paid. This was like a job, you know? So by them going out and do this, they were making money off of that. So this has these movers, these shakers, these protesters were able to rapture the people into this emotional frenzy and get them to make decision to push the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement forward. Because when you see people also determined to do stuff like this, oftentimes you think everything about that system ought to be true. That's not always the case, isn't it?
Protesters. It's a fair question then. Is it plausible that Patrice was giving money to groups that were creating protesters or training activists rather? I mean, why else would Patrice give millions of dollars to so many trained activists? I wanted to investigate that piece a little further, and so I made some phone calls. So I want to call some of these groups today, pretend that I want to give money to the organization, and see what I can find out about what they do. I get the feeling that none of these multi-million-dollar organizations are gonna pick up the phone.
We are not able to take your call. The Google subscriber you have called is not available.
No response.
You have the wrong number.
What?
Please leave a message after the tone.
No one's available.
Your call cannot be completed at
Verizon Wireless.
The Google subscriber you have called is not available.
The number you have reached is not sorry.
Only one organization to which BLM publicly donates answered. There we go. Let's take a listen.
Oh, hello, this is me. I am the co-coordinator of development and communications. Is the boots on the ground place, the place where the seeds are sown for the movement to continue to grow.
How are you guys involved actively, not just in, we want to know how you are actually active?
Yes, we are trainers, we are healers, we
Wow.
are artists, we are creators, but most importantly, we are on the front lines. We are fighting for freedom assembly through education.
This is great. Obviously, we were, like I said, we gave millions and millions of dollars after the horrific killing of George Floyd. If we give your organization $1 million and something like that happens, right? How are you getting involved?
In the past, has provided movement support and accompaniment on the front line at protests. We have supported bail funds. We have supported pop-up workshops. We are not only keeping people prepared by preparing their minds for the movement, but we're also putting them in community with spiritual workers and with other educators on the ground during those protests.
Even spiritual workers, even pastors are involved in this corruption.
I'm a devout Christian and
Shame on us, ministers. Shame on us.
Along with made a significant gift for the specific purpose of bailing out protesters during the 2020 uprising.
That's so wonderful.
One of our
Bailing them out.
organizers who works for was actually arrested in Kentucky as part of a protest. And we have been standing with her throughout that work and been showing up for court dates and packing the court and offering her legal support. So
that's what we want to see. That's what we're looking for. Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time. I hope you have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much. Training activists, making sure that people's minds are poisoned and that they know that they're supported through bailing out. We will bail you out. We've got the money to bail you out. And that's kind of what this is all about. The investigation continues.
Yikes.
Lord have mercy. Enough is said. Thank you so very much for checking this one out. I don't want to continue with this one. We'll save another part for another segment that I think will be also just as beneficial. Man, you've done heard it. Do I need to say anything? Do I need to say anything? I don't think so. I'm going to give you my Bible verse and I'm going to shut up. This is crazy nonsense right here. Here we are. The scripture tells us listen to this, friends. Listen to this. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. I'll leave that one to your interpretation. Envy, strife, confusion, evil work. Guess what? All of that is in Black Lives Matter. I can preach all day on this, but this video is long enough. I'll stop it right there. Make sure you like and subscribe. Click the bell icon for more of my notification upload. Comment below, share your perspective with me. I love the truth, even the uncomfortable ones. Until next time, and as always, remember to look unto Jesus to live by faith. Have a good one. Bye.